Oh, hello. Well, my mic is actually working. Oh, I forgot to update this. I was like doing all of my little stuff to get ready, and I was like, okay, I think I didn't forget anything. Untrue, I did forget anything. Okay, hi. It, I feel like I say this every time it's been more than like 6 days between these, but it really has been a while since I've done one of these. I had plans for ones to do, and then forces transpired that the timing did not work out for me. Um, so I have not gotten. I was gonna do this one last week, and then I was really busy, and I didn't. But I'm less busy today, so I'm doing soup lunch. I'm actually soup maxing. I made soup for dinner yesterday, also. Um, this is me making all of the foods, the recipes from Stardew Valley. My rules for doing so are that I have to use all of the ingredients that are listed in the game. Um, I can add any other ingredients to those ingredients as long as they're not in Stardew, as long as they're not, potential ingredients that could have been included. Uh, as much as possible, create the recipes myself. As much as possible, use sort of fancy ingredients, as I'm calling them. My goal is using one per recipe. I guess I like these ones that I'm doing feel sort of like there's inherently some fancy process stuff going on, although I didn't like forage or get like farmers market versions of anything that's going into them, so maybe it doesn't count. Whatever. As much as possible, take inspiration from the in-game images and descriptions, and as much as possible, try to make them actually tasty, even if they're not necessarily pitched as it, and of course, have fun. Um, so today I'm making pumpkin soup, and I have a note about that. I'm gonna justify some choices. Um, I'm gonna justify a choice. I guess kind of two, but one of them I don't feel like needs much justification. Which is a seasonal favorite. It includes pumpkin and milk. Then I'm also gonna make stuffing, which is the smell of warm bread and sage. And includes bread, cranberries, and hazelnut. I forgot to get my cranberries out, and I think they are behind where I put my computer. So we're gonna sort of, it's fine. Um, I have dried cranberries. I didn't think to because I knew I already had cranberries, get fresh ones, and I also, once I realized, couldn't really be bothered to go get additional cranberries. Um, Plus it's for stuffing, so that feels um pretty normal to do. Okay. Where is what I wanted to have up? Here it is. Of course, it re finished that map. Okay. So here's the justification that I'm gonna make. This is what I have for my pumpkin. Looks fine. It is an acorn squash. However, a pumpkin is a squash. It's a fall squash. This is also a fall squash. I looked at like three different places and none of them had pumpkins. And I thought about getting a can of pumpkin puree and using that for this. But I had a vision for how I was going to make this soup. And I feel like using an acorn squash, which, as far as I know, is not like I don't think that pumpkin is a natural group. Um, like I don't think that it's like a taxonomic group. I think it's kind of more just like similar to how like vegetable is not like a botanical group the way that fruit is. It's sort of just like culinary, it's vibes. I think that an acorn squash counts as a pumpkin. Um, there is not, there's not a separate crop in Stardew that is an acorn squash or anything similar to it. There's summer squash, but like summer squash is a completely separate type of squash. Like it's different. I would probably be like, oh, I can't use butternut squash. That's too close to summer squash, maybe. But even then, like I feel like summer squash is honestly even closer to zucchini. All of this to say, I think that it is not breaking the rules for me to use this instead of a pumpkin that I bought at the store labeled as a pumpkin. Also because like I didn't want to have like a huge pumpkin, and I feel like it's harder to find small normal pumpkins. Um, that are really designed for eating. Sorry, I'm just like picking a couple of yucky leaves off of this sage, um, because they left over. Um, from other things. Okay, my second justification is that I think I'm gonna use cream for the milk. I'm not gonna get it out yet. Um, I think cream counts as milk. I have already said that I think cream is too close to milk for me to like add as an ingredient to something that doesn't call for it. I do have some milk, but usually when I make a soup like this, it calls for or I add cream rather than milk. We'll see. Maybe and like I only have 2% milk. I don't have whole milk. Although I do kind of need to use up the milk, so maybe I'll change my mind and use the milk. We'll see. I'm going to start off by cutting up this pumpkin. I'm gonna call it a pumpkin. Um, and scooping out the guts, and I'm going to roast it, and I'm gonna turn it into a soup. I think probably, I can roast this whole thing, and that will make a normal amount of soup. I don't want to make like, I don't want to have crazy leftovers on this one because I have other leftover soup already. And I think I'm probably not even eating dinner at home today, so don't want to completely throw off my leftover schedule by having just like infinite soup. Um, but I think probably using the full acorn squash worth of those squash pumpkin, I think probably will make a pretty reasonable amount of soup. Like if I have like one serving of leftovers, that's fine. I'll do a soup breakfast or something. Um, but yeah. And then once I get this roasting, that'll probably, I mean, it's not that thick of a squash. Um, but it'll probably take like, I don't know, maybe half an hour to cook. Um, so while that's happening, do this thing. Because I just sort of was like, stuffing's got bread in it. That'll go with a soup. That'll go with like a nice fall soup sort of situation. I've actually never made stuffing before, so I'm gonna completely wing it. I did like briefly look at a stuffing recipe. Let's do like this, the chunks. That seems good. Actually, I probably should do bigger chunks so that I can more easily peel the skin off after I roast this. Too late for that now. Oh well. Um, yeah, I like looked at a stuffing recipe and it called for eggs and I went, okay, well I can't use those. Um, and so I'm gonna just kind of completely wing it. Um, but it'll have bread and hazelnuts and cranberries in it. Also some celery, and sage because the description talks about sage. Uh, and I think that'll be good. What I did get to do, that's fine, I'm gonna do it right now. And I think I'll do it in the pot that I'm gonna eventually make soup in, is I'm gonna melt some butter. It's unsalted. Yeah, it's just a little bit. Um, gonna melt some butter because this recipe does not call for oil, so I can't roast the pumpkin with olive oil, which is what I would normally do. I'm trying to remember if I've made like basically this soup before, or if I've just made sort of other. Well, I'm thinking of I think all of my like pudding um experiences. That's one situation where I've. Let's see. Um, oh, well, only 2 tablespoons is probably good for all of this. Um, I think I'm just gonna melt it and not brown it. Um, so I just like kind of don't feel like waiting to brown this butter. I'm gonna move my stuff around so that I can get my little air fryer oven situation down here. So I'm just gonna use this to roast the pumpkins. Because it's way faster than preheating my whole real oven. I feel like it also tends to cook stuff faster because it's like cooking on like it's like closer to the heating element. Uh, I have I have messed up cookies making them in here, making like a mini batch of cookies because I only wanted like to eat cookies and didn't want to make a whole batch and have to eat them all before they got stale or like freeze the extra cookie dough. I'm thinking I'm just gonna do like salt and pepper for the roasting, and then I'll add more like herbs into the soup. And I'm gonna sort of just like pour butter over this, and then when I flip them halfway through, I'll I'll melt a little more butter to put over the other side. I think is sort of my plan. Let's like make sure this is gonna. Yeah, we're good. Um, much like stuffing being a thing I've not made before, I haven't really worked with hazelnuts. I got just a bag of hazelnut, Um, I'm not gonna make the roasted hazelnuts today, but I am probably gonna do that soon and just use the rest of these hazelnuts because I'm only gonna use a few for the stuffing. Um, I got the ones in the shell because that looks more like the ones that you forage up in Stardew. So I'll have to shell them, but I assume I can just kind of crack them with my knife, and then I'll just like chop them up and put them in with the stuffing. Um, and I'm gonna use rye bread because that's what I was feeling. Um, and I think it'll be good. And I think I'm gonna throw some mustard in. I'm like, partly I'm kind of in like inspired for my stuffing ideas by my sister likes to make like a savory bread pudding um that is not dissimilar to stuffing. Um and it's got like like savory custard and like rye bread and mustard and cheese. Obviously I can't do the custard because I can't use milk and eggs in this, and I can't do cheese because there's no cheese in this. But that's kind of part of why I was like, let me do rye bread. So what I didn't think of is what temperature I should do this at. I'm gonna go 400 for 15 minutes and then flip them and see how that goes. And probably flip them and do them for another 10, I think, is my vision. But while that's going, gonna, I guess, prep the stuff to go into the stuffing. Uh, and then I'll just like bake it once this is out while I'm doing the soup stuff. So I'm gonna start with this celery. Let's just have celery from making other soup yesterday. It's like a roasted red pepper Gouda soup. Pretty good. Um, it does call for celery, and celery is a great. I've dropped my celery. This is so embarrassing. But we've recovered it. I'm just gonna mix this off again. Um, I like a celery in a soup. Um, when it like, I'm gonna need broth. I should get that out. Like celery in soup is pretty nice. I like the, sort of like the classic like chicken noodle soup type. Little bits of celery in there, absorbing all the broth. Um, however, really don't like raw celery. Um, I think it's mostly the texture that I'm not a fan of, but uh, it's gross. And the problem with celery, I think I've literally talked about this on one of these before. Problem with celery is you can't get just a little bit of it. You can't be like, hey, I need one rib of celery for the beautiful soup I'm making. I would like to purchase one rib of celery. You have to get like a like, whole big thing of it. And then, if you're like me, you don't like the rest of it, It's like, okay, well, I have to come up with a million more soups to make to use this up, or it's just gonna sit there until it goes bad. Um, and anyway, the stuffing recipe that I briefly looked at and then went, I don't think this will be that helpful because it calls for so many things I can't use. Um, did call for celery, and I was like, well, you know what? There's no celery in Stardew. I can put that in there, and I feel like it'll probably be good. I'm chopping it up nice and small, because that feels right. I feel like I don't want it to be like, I don't want the chunks of celery to be bigger than like the cranberries. Um, I do enjoy, I like a stuffing or like a bread pudding situation with like kind of a bigger chunk of bread. Um, like I don't really want it to be completely breadcrumbs. Here's my scissors. There's my scissors. Um, I mean, like honestly, I feel like probably just like a handful of hazelnuts is gonna be good. I'm not gonna make like I also don't want to make that much. Do I have? Um, I don't want to have like crazy leftovers of this either. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, I can just crack these bad boys open and get a little paper towels, put the shells on. Um, hmm, okay. Well, that one was already a little bit open, so perhaps it was easier than the others, and perhaps I've made a terrible mistake. I think it'll probably be okay. I mean, I needed to get the whole hazelnuts anyway, since I'm gonna use the rest of them for roasted hazelnuts, but may need to put these in some sort of a bag and smash them that way. I'm gonna think if I have like a little fake cloth bag anyway that I can use. Delightful sort of sound here. I may just need to use like a Ziploc. That's fine. I don't have like a meat tenderizer. Usually at my parents' house, if I'm like trying to smash something up, I just use the like flat side of the meat tenderizer. But I don't have one of those. So, um, what can I use? Maybe I can just do it with the knife. Oh, yeah, hold on. Oh, yeah, yeah, we're good. We're good. That's cracking. I just need to get it here so they don't go all over the place. Okay, I got one. Right? Okay, I've heard a second one crack. Which one of you was it? Come on, be nice to me. I think perhaps I've made a terrible mistake. It's really the meat of that one. Not very much. Okay. Well, I've um put holes into this baggie and only successfully cracked one of these hazelnuts. Damn, I don't think it's like a crab claw cracker or a actual nutcracker or like a perhaps perhaps we can make it happen with this with my can opener. That closes. Let's see. Not looking good for me and my. Oh, okay, that was messy, but it worked. Okay, I'm gonna do that for all of them, and then once they're cracked open a little bit, I think that I'll have no trouble getting them. I'm gonna do this in the sink because the shell bits kind of went everywhere. Once they are partly cracked, I can just get them the rest of the way open with the knife if I need to. Okay. I guess I'll just put these extra shells down in here. It's kind of fun, honestly. Where's the meat of that one? Is it kind of empty? I think maybe they can sometimes stuff and not have stuff. Oh, this is the one that I cracked before. Let me see if I can. Oh, wait, here it is. Rolling hazelnuts all over the place. You know, stressed, and it's fine. It's cool. All right, two more. Right. Well, once I figured it out, that was kind of something. Do have a plate full of wet hazelnut shells now. I'm gonna try and kind of get the, the water off. There we go. Okay. All right. Um, so it's not a not an overwhelming amount of hazelnut, but I'm with that honestly. I'll make sure these get like real nice and small. There's also like a minute left on this, so I'm gonna quickly do a little melt a little more butter. It's got a little bit of hazelnut gunk on it, but what's the deal? Clean your knife there, that's what but it's fine. And this into the bowl. Cranberries into the bowl. I will chop up the sage. Okay, this is looking good. I can if I can get these. I've got a spoon. Here we go. Uh, yeah, I think probably another 10 minutes will be good. I want this to be like pretty soft, so it's like easy to scoop out of the skin, and then will be easy to uh blend. Oh, I missed a hazelnut. I'll chop this one up too. We'll do this first. Okay. A little more salt and pepper for the other side, even though the other side is the skins that are gonna be cut off. And a little more butter for this side. back in we go for 10 minutes this time. Okay. I'm not sure what the right amount of sage to use is, honestly. Like, I kind of do, I want it to be sort of a major smell of it, since the description is like, wow, the smell of warm bread and sage. Um, but sage is like already a pretty strong smell, especially using like fish sage. So I feel like maybe I don't actually need this whole big old sprig that I got out, especially given like the amount of everything else I'm doing. Sounds good. I will throw also some salt, pepper. Where did I put my thyme? I was just using it. Maybe even throw maybe a little smoked paprika. Would that? I don't know if that would go with what else is in here. Mm, I think I'll just do thyme. Here we go. So it's like I'm a little on the fence about the mustard. Maybe actually, you know what? I think Dijon mustard would be fine. I was imagining like brown mustard. Put the rest of the sage away. Just leave the rest of that pomelo. Um, I will get out the Dijon. Okay, I can just use this same knife. Honestly, it's fine. I'm not gonna bother getting out a knife that's more. Um, 2 slices of bread. I'll start with that and see how much that is. You know what? Maybe I should use the filter. Yeah, whatever. We'll see. Perfect. Should have gotten some stuff to go with this rye bread. Make some sandwiches on it. I guess I can still do that. Okay. What's this? Oops. I'm not. Okay. Okay. Like, we'll do for this. Mix this up. Um, I think probably I do want a third slice of bread. I think that'll make the ratio seem more correct. Cool. So now I'm gonna add on some broth. That goes in stuffing. Maybe more, but we'll see. I'm gonna mix this up. See how it does vis-a-vis absorbing it. I think I do want to throw some mustard in here. And then I'm just gonna kind of just like a little bit. It needs the acidity, if nothing else. And honestly, we're just gonna mash it up with the hands fully. Okay. I this feels like a good texture to me. Um oh, it does smell like mustard more than sage, is sort of the downside to this methodology that I've taken. Um it's fine. Perhaps it will smell really sagey once it is baked. Okay. So put that there. Put this over here. This here. And then think about if there's anything else I want to put into the soup. The soup, I do think I should put smoked paprika in, and probably some cayenne. I think that'll be good. I'll grab it. Whoops. This is actually a new thing is smoked paprika. Um, oh, oh, wait. I think butter also goes in the stuffing. Seems good. I will melt a little more butter, throw that in the stuffing. I like also at this point get out. You know what? Let me see. I'm gonna go with cream. We're gonna do cream in this bad boy. So my next steps for this are to let it cool off a little bit and get the middle out of the skin of this here pumpkin squash. Um, um, let's see. See how it goes. If I can sort of make this happen. What am I gonna do? Honestly, is the bowl goes and scoop it in right. Get a nice whiff of sort of that bready stuffing smell. Um, so it does seem like the heat, probably of the butter that's in, will help make it smell different. And then you know what? I can always add a little bit extra sage on top if I wanna change the smell situation afterwards. Maybe powder would be good in this. I'm gonna go sort of more for a flavor profile that I feel like will like definitely go with the stuffing as sort of like a having that as a side. And I do think that sort of going like paprika and cayenne is gonna be good for that. Like I don't know that those things would be good mixed directly in with the stuffing, but I feel like as like an overall meal, those will kind of complement each other well. Um, but I don't know how good this squash soup turns out. This pumpkin soup that counts as pumpkin. Maybe I'll make like another. Maybe I'll like try and develop it into an actual recipe to like post somewhere. Um, and do like an alternative seasoning option for doing it with like curry. Okay. There is all of the guts done. So I think, because like usually with like a soup, you like if there's something you like roast it while the other veggies cook. I don't feel like doing onions is the thing. And I don't know what else I would do if I don't do onions. Because I can't do garlic because there's garlic in Stardew. There's just not onions in Stardew. So I can just add them to whatever. I kind of don't feel like adding them to this. So I guess I'm just gonna like put this in here, sort of mash it up, get the residual butter from this pot, and just add the broth right away. Is that sensible? Maybe I'll even strain it before or maybe after I immersion blend it. I do think sort of a thick soup is that feels right for this. And some thyme, gonna add some paprika, um, adding sort of red seasoning to this yellow soup will also make it sort of more orange and perhaps evoke pumpkin a bit more. um, mix this stuff up. Get it all over the place. All right, let's taste a little bit of this. Needs more salt. I think I added maybe slightly too much of the smoked paprika. I have been using mainly like unsmoked paprika, which is not a very strong flavor. So I kind of forgot that smoked paprika actually does quite easily impart a smoky flavor. Um, but it's fine. It's not bad. It's just a little bit paprika forward. Okay, there we go. That is very salty. Maybe a little too salty, but it'll be fine because I still need to add more. I need to add the cream. Okay, I'm gonna blend it and see how the texture is after that, and decide if I want to like strain it. Actually, that was remarkably successful. Seems very smooth now. Okay, actually, I think I've done a good job with this. Hmm. So, oh, and I should bake the thing. I forgot about that. Okay. Spread this and I feel like probably, honestly, 400 for 10 minutes, probably gonna do the trick. Seems about right. Now, a little bit of cream in here. Mix that up. See how that makes it. It's a little salty, a little more cream, but I don't think it needs a lot more. I think that's good. Actually, I'll leave it on simmer while I'm gonna clean this bowl a little bit. Hmm. Do you think it probably would be good if you like did brown butter, especially if you were doing it with like canned pumpkin puree, um, and you like browned the butter and then added the pumpkin into that and just like mixed it up there instead of roasting it? I think that would be pretty good. I guess I can like do my official taste test on the pumpkin soup while the stuffing finishes. It's really hot. And it tastes the same as when I was just taste testing it basically. But I think I did balance out the salt a little better. Um with that last little bit of cream in. It's good. It also the color I feel like is actually showing up pretty well, at least on my screen. Um it is a very nice like light orange sort of pumpkin flavor or color. Um Potato squash definitely the flavor is like a little different from pumpkin. Um, but I feel like I've had like pumpkin varieties, breeds, whatever, that are kind of more similar in flavor to like an acorn squash than like a classic like pie pumpkin. Um, so I continue to feel fine about the choice of squash used. I'm hungry at this point. I was like, let me eat my lunch, but I need the soup to cool off, and I need the the stuffing to be done so that I can try that and eat it. Uh, they they changed Um, the UI of adding a review on story graphs right before I part of the reason I was a little bit late to actually getting this started is that I was trying to finish up the book I was reading because I had very little left. Um, Sorry, I'm looking at the leaves outside that you can't really see. Um, they changed it, so now they'll like give it a star rating and add your thoughts is like before all the random other stuff. Like questions I asked about. Wow. Um, but I was reading The Taiga Syndrome by Christina Rivera Garza, whose work that I have read so far I have really enjoyed quite a lot. And I've got another couple of her books checked out of the library at the moment. So after that, actually, probably will do other stuff right after this, and not just immediately keep reading more stuff. But maybe this evening, I'll get started on. I've got Grieving, I think is what it's called. It's an essay collection. Grieving Dispatches from a Wounded Country, I think is the full title. Uh, it's a book I read for one of my book clubs mentions her, and I was like, "Whoa, I love her writing." Um, and so I like checked the footnotes to be like, what is this quoting from? And it was from that book. And then I was at the library and they had it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna read this now. Um, because one thing about me is I will always show up to a book club and be like, wow, this really reminds this book that we all read. Yeah, it reminds me of this thing from a different book that only I read. Which is perhaps a bad habit, but such is the nature of being in a book club with me. Um, okay, yeah, all of this little bowl. Seems like it got a nice, like, crispy situation going on. Um, I don't mind like a kind of soggy stuffing. Um, but I did like spread it out on the baking sheet because I wanted to get it kind of I wanted kind of a crust. This is definitely like so hot. Okay, stage forward flavor. I like that, and it's rye bread, so that's also like a pretty strong flavor. Okay, I think actually my sort of flavoring on this is fine. Um, okay. I'm gonna let that cool off a little bit to do my formal taste test, and then in stream. Maybe. Maybe I'm just gonna kind of get a little scoopy here. I do have, because like both of these, the like images for um like in Stardew, the little sprites for them are in like a like kind of a deep bowl. And I have bowls, not that color, but that shape. Um, they're up in the dishwasher right now, so I use other bowls. All right. The vibe of this is not like a Thanksgiving stuff. Um, at least ones that I've eaten in my life. Um, yeah, I mean it's got the texture of one because it's sort of wet baked bread. Um, which is what stuffing is. But like, yeah, I mean, I guess probably because I use dark rye bread, it's got a very strong like rye bread flavor. Um, and like the the cranberries add a little bit of sweetness, which is quite nice. I know I have gone on record as saying that I don't like when savory things are sweet, but I feel like I don't like when there's like when it's like there's sugar mixed into it, and I feel like having little like bits of dried fruit is a different vibe that I don't have a problem with. And I think that the cranberry flavor specifically actually works really well here. Um, and like that bite sort of felt like walking through a desert, if that makes sense, with like the sage. Um, it felt very like sagebrush, sort of like the. I wasn't like, oh, I'm eating sage, but it was like the vibe of the sage flavor was there. Interesting. I really didn't expect I was gonna like the stuffing that much. It is pretty good. Um, that's better than I expected. And the pumpkin soup also pretty good. Um, I could see it maybe being a little bit better, honestly, with like pumpkin, uh, like a can of pumpkin. So maybe I'll make another, pumpkin creamy soup at some point and see how I feel about that. Probably not on stream, just because I would not be doing it like as part of this, but well, but it's not like it's not bad. Like it's pretty good. It's like a nice warm. I actually don't know how cold out it is inside. I know I'm like wearing a t-shirt, but I'm in my house and I haven't gone out of my house so far today. Um, and when I do, I'm wear a jacket. But I'm not honestly really sure how cold it is right now, but I think it's gonna get real cold tonight. So sort of a nice little warm soup moment. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. Um, next time, maybe not immediately the next time, but like soonish, hopefully. I'm probably gonna go do the roasted hazelnuts and see if there's any other. I don't. I don't think there's any other recipes that call for hazelnuts, but if there are, I've got them, so I can do those and not have to go out of my way to get hazelnuts. Um, it's getting into, I think, probably probably not until like January, just 'cause my weekends will be kind of busy or not at home for the next couple weeks. Uh, but once it's officially winter, I actually don't is it just like the root splatter? Is that the one that calls for winter root? And it's like what is a winter root in real life? I think my plan for that is to just see what root vegetables are available in the winter at the farmer's market and just go based on that. So look forward to that. I think that is all of the things that I have to say and think about on this one. So I'm gonna go and eat my lunch. Okay, bye.